Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and continuing on with the Disney Christmas in July, where I review a batch of Disney TV animated episodes that are Christmassy. So, yes, that's right. So, as was teased in the last review video, and it's obvious and you figured it out, pretty much, and because I mentioned 626... Yeah, and, well, you know, you're now watching my review of what it is I'm reviewing next. I'm wearing the shirt, etc. So, yes. So, the next, Disney TV animated episode that's Christmassy that I'm reviewing, and because of 4th of July, Christmas in July, sorry. Yes, that's right. That being an episode of the Lilo and Stitch TV series, which being episode 22 from season 1, Topper. Yes. Now, with the show itself, and of course I already did a review of the show itself entirely, but yeah, just very quickly, just, you know, with the Lilo and Stitch TV series, because yeah, this was another one of those Disney TV animated shows that I watched a lot. It was one of my top jams. You know, there was this, there was Kim Possible, and need I go on? Just, yeah, definitely. And I'm sure the same would go for maybe all of you, but yeah. And I don't seem to recall, in the old days of Disney Channel, and when this was on, I don't seem to recall happening to watch this episode and seeing it on Disney Channel. Maybe not, just, yeah. I really can't remember. Maybe I did, but just, yeah, but overall. But having watched it, especially, say, on Disney Plus, and doing a bit of rewatch, and especially since, you know, I'm now reviewing the episode itself, yeah, I gotta say, it's really cool and nice that there was an episode of Lilo and Stitch that was Christmassy. And, you know, seeing as how that this was Stitch's first Christmas, as it's established in this episode, Lilo trying to teach Stitch all about Christmas, the meaning of Christmas, but even when he does get a bit out of hand at first, up until when he does something that, unbeknownst to Lilo, Jumba, Amplically, he's not doing it intentionally, where he believes that he has spotted a, experiment pod, and is trying to find and get his hands on that experiment pod, because that experiment pod being in a Christmas present, and Stitch having no idea where it is, and having to snatch all of the Christmas presents all throughout the island, and just, yeah, and Lilo just, yeah, thinking that Stitch is, you know, just being a Scrooge, technically, best way to put it. But of course, you know, we, the audience, know that that's not the case. And also with Jumba, his presence in this episode, because, yeah, you know, he found this supposed experiment pod, which, by the way, it turns out to be an experiment pod, you know, is going to gift wrap it and give it to Dr. Jacques Hamsterville, and which would be a Christmas present. But yeah, just, you know, overall with what this episode is like, and yeah, the only episode of the Lilo and Stitch TV series where, you know, it's Christmassy, and, you know, one or two other episodes of Lilo and Stitch where, you know, they did Halloween, and yeah, so, but this being the only one that has to do something Christmassy, just, yeah. And especially because, you know, with how the people of Hawaii celebrate Christmas, and how Lilo establishes it, I mean, it's true, you know, because, you know, in Hawaii, they say Melikilikimaka, so, yeah. And hey, hence the song, you know, Melikilikimaka is, da-da-da, you know what I'm talking about, just, yeah. But yeah, just, you know, overall, the episode itself, Topper, it's a pretty good, cute, fun episode of the Lilo and Stitch TV series, with what it has to offer, and this being Stitch's first ever Christmas, being taught what Christmas is like, and there's more to Christmas than just, say, the presents, giving, and so on. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, getting presents on Christmas. But yeah, overall, it's a really good Christmassy episode to come straight from Lilo and Stitch, without a doubt. Okay, so, as always, for me, now with the first things I've had to say about this episode out of the way, read the description / the story. It's Stitch's first Christmas, and Lilo thinks he's gone mad when he steals all the presents. But it turns out he saw an experiment fall into one of the parcels. I think I am pronouncing that right, yeah. And was just trying to find it before it was activated. Yeah. And actually, because, yeah, the majority of this episode, they're lucky that that experiment pod had not yet activated until they do activate it themselves. But yeah, so, now with reading the description / the story out of the way, let's dive into the episode itself, break it down, and so on. You know the drill. So, yeah, like I said, and as I read in the description / the story, this being Stitch's first ever Christmas, and Lilo trying to teach Stitch, you know, what Christmas is like and how the people in Hawaii say Merry Christmas, Melikiliki Maka. And, you know, even that, you know, not only me, because Stitch as well, having trouble specifically pronouncing it. Yeah. And also, Lilo showing Stitch at one point, like, where exactly the Christmas presents would be hidden, because, you know, every year Nani especially has, you know, hidden the presents very well, and Lilo, you know, trying to find where the presents are, and with Stitch behind her, doing a bit of tippy-toe, but Nani, yeah, she has a good feeling, of course, that Lilo is gonna try and find the presents, and telling Lilo that she hid them very well this year, but not exactly. And for what Lilo is sensing, because, yeah, up in the attic, that's where they are in this chest, and Stitch wanting to open one of the presents, but yeah, Lilo telling Stitch that, you know, you can't open the Christmas present until Christmas Day, but you can shake it and guess, and no harm done to that. But, also, you know, Stitch wanting to take all of the presents, but they're not all for him. You can like and stare at the presents, and you can sometimes pretend to like the presents you get, even if, like, say, some of them are not the ones you asked for, and you're like, but it's okay, I'll like them, just, you know. And then, like, there's a moment where Jumba and Pleakley, they're practicing Christmas carols, you know, as Christmas carolers, and Pleakley apparently knowing and studying all about Christmas and the different ways that Christmas is celebrated, like most notably Hanukkah. And also one moment where the Christmas tree is up in the living room, and apparently this is Pleakley's doing, where he put a lot of, like, round things on the tree, like one of them's a tire, but that's not the right way to hang up round ball ornaments, you know? I mean, I'm sure, like, hey, some people could be very creative and, like, maybe do something like that, kind of like what Pleakley did. Just, yeah, it's obvious. I mean, hey, because that just now popped in my head. Look at what Spencer Shea did in, you know, the first iCarly Christmas episode, you know, and how he did the tree, you know, of sculptures. That is an example, and more than just that, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, so yeah, well, unfortunately, the tree doesn't last long, and yeah, accidentally, the tree's knocked down, and apparently that was the third Christmas tree they bought, and they can't afford one, especially on Christmas Eve. And Nani, well, she has to work on Christmas Eve. Lilo doesn't like this, but Nani assuring Lilo that she will be back, and thus, they will celebrate Christmas. Meanwhile, coming to Gantu, because Gantu, by this point, yeah, as I said earlier, where he, had found, supposedly, an experiment pod, and it basically, it's an experiment pod that says 025, and he plans to give it to Hamsterville, and 625, on the other hand, oh, he's definitely celebrating Christmas. Gantu, not that much, but, you know, 625, suggesting to Gantu that probably he should gift wrap it, and because of the whole thing of Christmas, as 625 explains to Gantu. And Gantu, he thinks, he agrees. He agrees with what 625 says, and yeah, because he's going to give it to Hamsterville, you know, the season of giving, so yeah. And even 625 recommended to Gantu on dressing up, you know, in red and with a hat, and just, yeah, that's what Gantu does. He obliges this, and the next time we see him, he's dressed up as Santa Claus. And coming back to Lilo and Stitch, well, because Lilo's still trying to teach Stitch more about Christmas, and to see Christmas by, you know, most prominently going to the mall. Yeah, because going to malls having a lot of beautiful Christmas stuff on display or in shops, all that. Yeah, and Stitch and Lilo just in awe over the Christmas stuff on display, but Stitch, he let the, curiosity get to him and just, doing some mischievous stuff where he bites on one of the gingerbread heads or like say he tries to sing alongside with these carolers, and he asks something from Santa, whispering something, and, you're naughty. Just But, hey, this is Stitch's first Christmas, even when Lilo does establish this to some of the people at the mall. However, at one point, Stitch does spot what he believes, and it turns out to be true, an unactive experiment pod, E21, and it's just about to be put in a box, be gift-wrapped, and Stitch attempting to quickly get his hands on that experiment pod. Lilo thinks that, he's misbehaving, but little does she know. And Stitch, having no luck trying to find the experiment pod, and thus, he starts to, unwrap all of the presents that are being, gift-wrapped and such, and on display, and from there on, what he would do next. And Gantu, he showed up a bit late because, he had that experiment pod to be gift-wrapped, but, Stitch grabbing a hold of it, and, Stitch having no idea that he already did get a hold of it, but with all the other presents. And Gantu being aware that, 626 had shown up, and is going to give 626 a taste of Christmas past, And a montage where we see Stitch collecting all of the presents around the island. And, and by this point, they've all made their way back to the house, Pleakley telling Lilo that he's up in the attic. Jumba's trying to get up into the attic, and, because of Stitch misbehaving, Stitch locking himself in the attic, and with all the presents, but Lilo and Jumba have an idea on how they need to get to Stitch. So, they sneak off, Stitch, looking down, and, they're nowhere in sight. But somehow, Jumba and Lilo, they manage to get up in the attic, and they wrestle him, and eventually, they get him in this container. And according to Jumba, it's 626, improved, where Stitch cannot break the tube/can, and it's also, soundproof, basically, because, Lilo can't hear Stitch in that tube/container, because, it's very quiet and mute. So, man, Jumba managed to finally make a can/tube where, it's 626 proof. Stitch cannot break through that. And they think that, even like Jumba thinking that probably his badness has come back into him, and such, and Jumba was gonna plan on using a mallet to hit Stitch, but Pleakley, and Pleakley also, because that there was no Christmas tree, Pleakley was playing the part of the Christmas tree, posing like this and with his arms and having some stuff on his arms. Just, it was funny. And Pleakley, he doesn't think it's a good idea to just, mallet Stitch and stuff like that. And basically, because there's got to be some explanation as to why Stitch has been acting so strange and why he stole all these presents. There has to be some reason. So, in Jumba and Pleakley's ship, they use a brain analyzer, and basically analyzing and seeing inside of Stitch's brain and what he's thinking of. Nothing bad. There's nothing bad that Stitch is thinking of, because all it is just like, say, him riding a bike, on the road, or surfing, you're drinking from a toilet, but they see something that, Stitch had seen earlier, and that being where he saw an experiment pod, and that's when, Jumba and Lilo, realize that, oh, that's what he was doing. That's why he stole all the presents, because of the experiment pod, and Lilo feeling bad for not realizing immediately what Stitch was doing. And, Stitch should have... Don't you think he should have mentioned to Lilo that by saying cousin? Because the problem would have been solved earlier. But, I don't know, because I guess it was all happening too fast. I guess you can make that an argument. But I'm just simply saying, and I'm sure you guys would probably think so too. Okay, anyways, so what happens next is, well, Gantu, he showed up and pretty much destroyed half of the house, and by taking all the presents that were in the attic, and Pleakley, having seen all this, and he's still okay, he's still in the pot, and as, pretending to be the Christmas tree, and telling them what all happened, and so Lilo and Stitch, they're the only two that go off to confront Gantu and to collect the experiment pod, while Jumba and Pleakley remain, and Jumba having to reconstruct the house. Not the entirety of it, but still. And Pleakley, on the other hand, he actually wants he and Jumba to go to the mall to do some Christmas stuff that Pleakley wants to do. It's pretty funny. And meanwhile, coming back to Lilo and Stitch, they've made their way to Gantu's ship, and they think that, Gantu's going to be present there, and trying to find a way to sneak into the ship and, hide from 625 when he, comes out twice, keep it down, I'm trying to take a Christmas nap. But, with them making their way into Gantu's ship, they confront 625, try to find Gantu. Well, 625 breaking the news to them that, Gantu's not here. And that's when Jumba and Pleakley arrive at the mall, and they're doing a bit of Christmas caroling, they do discover and spot Gantu being present, and having the big sack of Christmas presents, and not to mention they did see him fly off after, they saw the aftermath of the destruction of the house. So Jumba managing to contact Lilo and Stitch at Gantu's ship and telling them that, Gantu is present at the mall. So, thus they make their way to the mall. Also, Nani being there at one point. She's trying to find a shrunken head for her little sister Lilo, but, apparently because in Hawaii and on the island, they don't have that. And the guy at the stand, telling Nani to try Native America, and because that was mentioned earlier about, Lilo wanting a shrunken head, because with so much happening in the mall, Stitch, taking on Gantu, trying to retrieve the experiment pod, destruction here and there, and even when, say, at one point, Gantu and Stitch, they're on Santa's sleigh, And even when, knocking down a Christmas tree, Stitch collecting the experiment pod, climbing on top of the tree, Gantu catching up to Stitch, and the Christmas tree, crumbling, just great and funny. But and Lilo confronting Gantu and, because of what's happened and, talking about Christmas and, the whole thing of giving and such. And one little girl that approaches Gantu dressed as Santa. Do I get a Christmas present, Santa? You? Why would I give? Oh, don't give me those eyes. Stop it. Because the little girl, tearing up, But, Gantu giving in and giving her what he was going to give to Hamsterville, at the experiment pod 025. And Jumba being familiar with what this experiment is, and basically explaining that 025 being designed to be a beacon for any aliens and such. And, Lilo knowing the perfect spot for Topper, and when, Topper is finally activated, and thus Lilo giving the experiment's name Topper, and basically Topper being a decoration on top of the Christmas tree, looking almost like a Christmas star. Yep. And, and again, just the whole thing about giving and such that's mentioned, and so on. That was great, definitely. And all of them together, and Christmas, looking pretty good on the island. And Stitch also having trouble still pronouncing Melikiliki Maka. Yeah, me too, some, but And with Topper sending a beacon, well, out in space, in Earth's orbit, other aliens in their ships, well, they get the beacon, and thus they make their way to Earth. And that was a pretty cool way to end off the episode. And I'm guessing that probably the aliens, well, they'll be celebrating Christmas too on Earth. But episode 22 of season 1 of Lilo and Stitch, the TV series, Topper. It was a pretty good, cute, delightful episode of the Lilo and Stitch TV series. This being the only one that's Christmassy. Everything about it from beginning to end, with what the story had to offer, with the characters, this being Stitch's first ever Christmas, and when they think that Stitch is misbehaving, but no, because, he was, all this time, he was trying to go after, what is, an experiment pod that had yet to be activated. Gantu dressed as Santa Claus, and when, things are patched up with Gantu in the end, and when, he starts to enjoy Christmas and being Santa and such, and when the experiment is finally activated and being named Topper, Overall, episode 22 of season 1 of Lilo and Stitch, the TV series Topper, it's a pretty good one. And I'm giving the episode, just why not? 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for season 1 of the Lilo and Stitch TV series, episode 22, Topper. And what about you guys? What did you think of the episode itself from Lilo and Stitch, Topper? Is it another one of your favorite Christmassy episodes of Disney TV animation? One of your favorite episodes from the Lilo and Stitch TV series? And is Topper one of your favorite experiments created by Jumbo Jukipa? What were some of your favorite moments? Overall, what do you think of the Lilo and Stitch TV series episode itself, Topper? And with what I've had to say, my review, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the Lilo and Stitch TV series, Season 1, Episode 22, Topper. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video / review. And, continuing on, reviewing more Disney TV animated episodes that are Christmassy, part of the Christmas in July, all Disney, you know the drill. So, what I will be reviewing next, I already mentioned it earlier, Kim Possible, that's next. So again, stay tuned for that. A part of the Disney Christmas in July thing where I review a batch of Disney TV animated episodes that are Christmassy. Take care and peace out. And Malik Maka, Aloha, and Toki Babawa!